Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my December reading wrap up. This is the last one of the year. I read, if you're counting like I have like a bunch of short little like ebooks. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if you're counting like actual full-length books, I read 2. Um, so here's my December spread here. I read 26 out of the 31 days. And on to the next page where I have my first set of books. So the first book that I read in December was The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. This is the book that follows Mr. Fixer-Upper, which is the last book that I read last month in November because it comes before it. So this one, I rated a 5. I really enjoyed this one. I just loved how it picked up from the last one, and I loved the Christmassy feel of it. So let's go ahead and read what my thoughts were. This was such a cute and heartwarming story. Kat and Noah are so cute together. I got so giddy at times and had the goofiest smile on my face. I love the small town aspect and the community of Mary. The characters were great as well. I really enjoyed the Christmas feel of this book too. So the premise of this book is Kat, who is Gannon's sister from the first one, she gets wind of this town called Mary. I believe it's Mary, Connecticut. And they had a family there that they helped on the show in the last book that she stays in contact with. And she got wind of this town getting hit with a hurricane, and there was a bunch of like flooding and stuff. So she decided she's gonna go to this town and basically fix it up for her Christmas special. And she meets Noah, who is like the city manager of the town, and he has some issues with this. He has, some reservations. He does not want anything to do with it. But eventually he comes around, and she basically is there in the town of Mary fixing up this town in time for Christmas. And it's so cute. I love the characters, the town, them coming together. Just a really cute book. And again, I love the home renovation feel of it and the Christmas bit of it as well. Next up, we have 5 little mini short ebooks. They are all from the Under the Mistletoe collection. I think this just came out like last month, maybe. They're all Christmas little books by different authors. The first one is Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. So I don't know if I already said this. All 5 of these are they're like Kindle exclusive, so you can only read them on the Kindle. So that's why I'm gonna have the cover up on the screen as I'm talking about it for all of these. This one I rated a 3.5. My thoughts on this one were, this was a cute little story of best friend's brother growing up together and being in love since childhood. It could have been better if it were longer, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. Also, not a lot of Christmas in this story. So this one, I don't particularly remember like anything about it. I'm trying to place it in my brain, like a character or a situation or something, and I got nothing. So I'm not really sure. I don't know what this one was about. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. This was Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. This one I rated a 4. This was one of my favorites of the 5. So overall, I thought it was a cute story. I so wish it was longer. I wanted to read more about Evie and Luke's love story, and because it was such a short story, how they got together felt rushed. I really enjoyed the love that they had for each other though. So that was like my one issue with a lot of these, is because they're short stories, I feel like there's not a lot to go on. There's you know, it's rushed how they get together. They kind of like meet and then they're together. It's like so quick and rushed. But I really enjoyed this one. This one I think was Evie works at like a thrift shop or something, and Luke lives on a farm. I think, yeah, Evie had a baby too. She has a little baby. And without them knowing about it, they're like crushing on each other. But somehow they end up, you know, getting together. But this one this one I don't think was super Christmassy either. I think it takes place like Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve, something like that. It's not like super duper Christmassy. The next one is All by My Elf by Olivia Dade. This one was my least favorite of them all. I rated this one a 2. And I didn't really write much thoughts on it either. I said I wasn't very into it. There wasn't much going on and it was kind of boring. This one I think was about, I can't even remember their names, but the whole story for the most part takes place in this vehicle. They work for like some sort of food company, and they're driving a vehicle that's shaped like whatever this food is. And what's coming to mind is like the Oscar Mayer like wiener vehicle that you see driving around every now and then. It's something similar to that they're driving around town, and that's where like the whole story takes place is inside this vehicle. And it kind of, I don't know, there wasn't much going on. Again, not very Christmassy, very boring in my opinion. Didn't really care for it at all. Next up we have Merriment and Mayhem. This one is by Alexandria. I have no idea how you say her last name. I have no idea. This one I also rated a 4 and was also one of my favorites of the whole little series. I enjoyed this one. I felt like Everly and Griffin had great chemistry. There's something about a firefighter story that I love. I wish this would have been longer. I would have loved to see how their story played out. This one I remember pretty well because it was one of my favorites. So Griffin is a firefighter. Everly was, I think, cleaning up her grandmother's house to sell because her grandmother had passed away. And I think it was at least 2 or 3 times that various neighbors called 911 because of, you know, something that was happening with Everly. And the fire department would show up, and that's how she met Griffin. And each time they would meet, they just connected and had this great chemistry, and I just really enjoyed that part of it. And this one in particular, I really wish would have been longer because I would have loved to see this story play out. It was great. Again, not like the most Christmassy. It didn't really have a ton of Christmas. I think they all pretty much take place around Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, but they're not like screaming Christmas at you. And then the last one for that little series is Only Santa's in the Building by Alexis Daria, or Daria, however you say it. This one I rated a 3.75. I liked the apartment building and neighbors storyline. The characters were good, but there wasn't much going on. I enjoyed the story overall, but it could have been better if it were longer. Again, same thing I've been saying. Could have been better if it were longer. This one was about 2 characters that lived in an apartment building. They lived 1 floor apart from each other. Like, one was on this floor, and then the other one lived directly above, on the next floor up. And when they connected, they were at a Christmas party. But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, this one again wasn't super Christmassy. They did go to a Christmas party, but yeah. So on to the last book that I read in December. This one I also read on my Kindle because I don't own it right now, but it is How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. This one stole the show. 5 stars. In love. I just finished it today, New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's, everybody. This one, oh my gosh, I could rave about this book forever. Okay, let's just jump into my thoughts. I absolutely loved this book. It was so creative and so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. I loved the characters and their personalities. The town was cute as well. I loved the Grinch references throughout the book. The ending had me surprised and then emotional. This was such a fun Christmas read. So this one is about Story and Cole, and they're in this town called Kringle, and it's very reminiscent of the Grinch, where they have this like, I'm not exactly sure if it's exactly like the Grinch, whereas like I can't remember in the Grinch if they have this competition. I know they have like this the title where you're like the king of Christmas almost, but it's something similar to that in this book, and they're kind of just like competing to be the town Kringle for the season, but it's so funny and so creative. This is the first book I've read from this author, and I'm so excited to jump into more because I want to see if her writing is always this creative and funny, because it was so good. There were there's like points specifically that I'm remembering that I want to tell you about, because it was written so at the beginning of every chapter it would be the narrator, like a narrator speaking, kind of like a rhyme or like a poem almost of like what's going on. But then there would be certain points, it was only with Cole on his parts, where it would show that the narrator is literally speaking to Cole and Cole would speak back to him, and just like the interaction between Cole and the narrator is just so funny. And it's just like the way the narrator speaks too is just like so funny. Like I'm laughing just thinking about it. It is so funny and so creative. I've never read something like that before. I just really enjoyed this book, and I'm so glad that I read it. And that's it. That's all I've got for December. That's the end of the month, end of the year. I am wrapping up my 2024 reads. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this whole year of me posting my reads. And that's gonna wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for following along and watching these videos. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a magical day. Bye guys!